Good morning. I am currently in the car driving to Megan Shaner's house because she has agreed to show us all how to make an Advent wreath that we can use at home since we can't be all together in the sanctuary during this Advent season. So come on, let's go learn how to make an Advent wreath. You have to ring the doorbell. Good morning, Megan. Can we come in?
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm good. Your family, you don't have to ring the bell. Hey everybody, my broken wrist and I, with maybe a little help from Pastor Mona, are going to show you how to make a homemade Advent wreath. This is truly DIY stuff we're talking about. Nothing very expensive and nothing very difficult. I got all the materials from Walmart. You could certainly go to Joann's or Hobby Lobby or whatever floats your boat and spend as little or as much as you want to. This is roughly what the finished product will look like. It's very simple. It's almost spare in its appearance, but I like that for Advent because Advent is a time of waiting and anticipation, and it's not the full, lush Christmas experience. It's more about hanging on and being patient. So I think the spareness really works here. Okay, so to do this craft, you're going to need a few things. Like I said, none of them are terribly expensive, and I got all of mine at Walmart. You're going to need an embroidery hoop. I bought the small one. I think this is an 8-inch. On hand, I also had a much larger one. This is probably 12-inch. I'm not certain. Either one, whatever size, as long as it's big enough to hold your candles in the center. My candles are not in holders, but these are just plain little votive candles, so if you wanted to, you could absolutely get some little glass holders. Again, just make sure your embroidery hoop is big enough to contain all 5 candles by the time Advent is done with, because you'll need room for all 5. As far as candle colors go, I have white, but you will need 3 purple, 1 pink, and a 5th one, a white one for the center. So just make sure your candle colors are on point for the season. I purchased this 10-pack of 12-inch garland ties. Again, got this at Walmart. The price was $2.44. This is artificial greenery. It's very simple, and it does hold its shape relatively well. So grab one of these. I also got a box of 16 votive candles. Again, I got 16, which is way too many, but in my house they won't go to waste. Get the colors that you need. If you don't find them at Walmart, you can always try the Glass Warehouse on South Batavia here in Muncie. Give them a call or go take a look. They've got some interesting stuff. I think they're closed on Sundays and Mondays, but I'm not entirely certain. Check the website or give them a call. The last thing you'll need, and this is strictly optional, is some ribbon. You can do red, you can do green, you can do velvet, you can do plastic. Whatever you want. I think the ribbon just adds the finishing touch. So these are the materials. Embroidery hoop, size of your choice, candles, garland, ribbon. Okay, so here we go with our assembly. For whatever reason, this particular embroidery hoop is missing the screw that holds it together, but that's okay. We're going to work around that. I'm going to take the hoop and one of my garland ties and just kind of, sorry, I'm awkward, secure this by twisting it and then just twine it kind of loosely around the wood of the hoop. If you have enough garland ties and a small enough hoop, you could absolutely wrap them tight enough to hide the hoop completely. I like the wood showing, but that's my personal preference, so you do you. Again, I'm going to start from the other side, and I'm starting here just to kind of hold the 2 hoops together since we're missing a screw. We have a screw loose. So there's 2, and we're about halfway. So it looks like if you have a larger hoop, it might take about 4 of the garland ties. The smaller one that I did only took 3. Again, that's with covering it loosely. Obviously, if you cover it tighter, you're going to need more garland. So then we start from where we left off, just kind of twist it like you're putting the tie back on a loaf of bread. Yep, I was right. One more here. And I even have some left over. How about that? Okay, again, start from where we left off and just twist it. All right, so this is roughly what you're left with, is a circle of greenery. Again, I can take these last 3 leftovers and twine them around and cover it with more greenery. That's totally up to you. For now, I'm going to leave these right here. And now I'm going to take my ribbon, if you decide to do ribbon, in whatever kind you want. And I'm going to awkwardly, because that's how I roll these days, awkwardly just kind of tie the ribbon to the hoop, wherever, like this. It's probably easier to cut the ribbon because then you're not wrapping an entire spool of ribbon throughout your hoop the whole time. So let me just grab my scissors. Here we go. Sorry about that. Here I come. So let's cut off much more than we think we'll need, but trust me, in the long run, it's easier. Now, again, you're going to pull and just kind of wrap and twine and twist however you want it to look. If you're using, you know, a nice fat velvet ribbon, it's going to take on a different look than this thin little red stuff. But it's whatever look you want. It's your Advent wreath for your home, your family, your preferences. There we go. I called that just about right. So this is approximately what we're looking at this point. Yours may look different. Doesn't matter. All I'm going to do now is cut off the excess and tie it to where I started. And as it turns out, this was easy enough to do even for somebody with a broken wrist. All I'm going to do is chop this off pretty closely so it's not obvious. There we go. Large Advent wreath, small Advent wreath. 5 candles. There's 5 in there. And then just for observation, we can put 5 in here to see how this looks. Much more spread out, but if that's the look you want, that's okay. Now, that's one way to make an Advent wreath. Embroidery hoop, some fake greenery, some ribbon, some candles. There is another option if you would prefer. Find a wreath, an artificial wreath at the store. I would prefer a plain one, and I know they make them. I've seen these wreaths that are already pre-decorated with ribbons and flowers and feathers and birds. I'm not sure that works for an Advent wreath. If you want it on your door, go for it. For an Advent wreath, I think you just want to go with a plain green wreath, but you could do that rather than the embroidery hoop. That's again, it's totally up to you. Either way, wrap some ribbon around it and put some candles in the center. Boom. Advent wreath, all set. All right, so this is the ending of my tutorial on how to make a homemade DIY Advent wreath. I want to thank y'all for watching. Lionel says thank you. Patches says thank you. Jake says thank you. I hope this was a help. I know that we all wish that we could be in church lighting the Advent wreath there and celebrating that way. COVID took us on a wide left turn this year, and we'll just adapt and roll with it and make our own. So, thanks everybody.
Mhm.